Trading. This is Alex, Chief Strategic Officer at ECLUBTRADING. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you so much for our Instagram followers that join us for this daily video. Please have a look at our disclaimer. You can find at the bottom of our page, or you can go straight to our website eclubtrading.com, and you can subscribe to one of our paid plans or the free plan where you get everything sent to your email. You get the daily charts. You get this video sent to you every night, and you can watch it in your own time. You can see exactly what I'm seeing now, the charts and the levels and everything that we go over. And you also get a nice market and our overview for the next for the next week. So what happened in the markets today? We talked about in the morning game plan and in the daily charts. We had a very ugly candle in the SPYs and in the Qs yesterday based on three major headwinds. First of all, the higher treasury yield. Then we have a potential government shutdown by Friday if funds are not found, and also a debt ceiling crisis as the government will run out of money, and there is a slight possibility of a US default by mid-October. Obviously, as I talked about in the morning game plan, and I talked about it on the video last night, from my take on these events is somewhat positive. From a macro perspective, the US will not default. It's just a politics game between Democrats and Republicans. They will find a solution, a last-minute solution like they always do. They will postpone the debt ceiling crisis. They will find the necessary funding for the government not to shut down. And the yield will react accordingly and will probably drop from the high levels which it currently sits at. So today, after the immense selling yesterday, we had a strong bounce in the indices in pre-market, but as we highlighted in the morning, there were some resistance levels in order to measure this bounce. So we said from the morning that you have to be very tactical. You have to look at the names that were in action yesterday and the levels which they posted yesterday. First of all, you always start in such days with the indices, with the SPYs and the Qs, the SPYs for the overall market and the Qs for the tech sector. And after that, you go to the individual stocks. We had a few different, different categories of stocks. We had those that managed to keep above the 8-day, the 8 and 21 days, such as Tesla. So those were very strong stocks despite the market sell-off. We have those that made new weekly lows yesterday, such as Microsoft and Facebook. And we had those that managed to stay above the weekly lows and were somewhat stronger than the others, such as Apple. So today what did we do? As I told you, we came in long a few long dated options. On the gap up we trimmed. We continued to trim throughout the day, and we also day traded more than we usually do because there were a lot of ups and downs. The chop fest continued on Wall Street as always. Tomorrow we have the end of the quarter, so there are lots of day trading possibilities, and some of the best ones were in Apple and Microsoft, which showed some relative strength, but at the same time they had enough volatility so you could be buying a dip, selling a rip, and rinse and repeat this 3, 4, 5 times during the day. So actually we managed to make some money in Microsoft, in Apple, even in AMD, even though they didn't post great candles. But you had to be very surgical. You had to know your levels, especially the resistance levels and the support levels. You got your support levels after the first hour of trading. You had your lows in, and then you could have traded against those lows. All in all, looking at the SPYs, still in a bearish candle here. Managed to post a higher low compared to yesterday's, got rejected around 437, which was the first resistance area that we highlighted in the morning game plan. From a technical perspective, this looks like a perfect H-type setup, a bear flag. So the longer we stay below 437, the higher the probability we're going to drift below this 428.86, which is the line in the sand for the SPYs and the recent bull market in which we have been involved for the past few years. Tomorrow we have the end of the quarter. There's lots of talk about the rebalance that's going to go on. You know very well the pension funds, they need to readjust their positions depending on the quarter. And the latest news coming out of this is from Goldman Sachs, which said that from their theoretical algorithms, actually tomorrow we have a buy potential for most equities, and quite a substantial one. We'll see how that goes. They are not always right with this, you know, analysts. So we'll see if we are on the buy side tomorrow or on the sell side, but keep in mind that whatever happens tomorrow, we have these important levels in the SPIs and in the Qs. So for tomorrow, 433.85 is your pivot support for the SPIs, 437.04 pivot resistance. If we manage to get above 437, then the bulls do manage to regain some control, and then you have the 8-day around 438.86. If we break below this 433.85, then you have just one more reference point, this 432.94, before the biggest support level, which is 428.86. In case the rebalance turns ugly, and in case we dip below this 428.86, then there is a big void in the SPIs all the way to 424, then 421, and the 200 days all the way down at 412. So we have to keep this in mind. Probably none of the problems, none of the headwinds that we just discussed are going to be solved tomorrow. We're going to have the pressure of the end of the quarter, rebalancing, so keep those in mind. If you're a long-term investor, again, as I said yesterday, maybe it's time to put some money to work, either through index funds, either through some of the strongest tech stocks out there, and you will get rewarded later in the year. As a technical analyst, this is not the time to be long or short. In order to protect some of our long exposures, because we have those calls that we bought for the earnings, because there's lots of weakness in the markets, and we bought those calls. We actually put on a small hedge in the Qs. We bought some 358 puts expiring on Friday. So we'll see how that goes as well. Now let's quickly look at the tech sector. And remember, guys, if you have any questions, we are more than willing to answer them. Just post them on Instagram or email us, info@eclubtrading.com, and I will cover them in the video as well. So what happened in the Qs? We managed to make a new low. We started the day very strong. We got rejected at 363, which is exactly half of this candle. Then we drifted lower, we made a new low. Then we tried a little attempt to make a reversal above 359.35, got rejected again and closed close to the lows. So not the greatest candle for the Qs. There's still a lot of pressure with the bond yields and so on. So tech is still pressured, and there are very few names within the sector that act decent. All in all, we managed to defend the 100-day moving average, which is quite important. So we'll see how it goes from tomorrow. But remember, in case we have a strong opening, this 363.37 is the first resistance, and then you have bigger resistances around 366, 367, and all the way up to 370. And for support, first of all, this 358.64, which is the weekly low in the Qs, and then you have the next support is around 352, and the 200-day is all the way down at 339. If we break below the 100-day, definitely the bears will be in control, and they will end the quarter on a strong footing. But keep in mind that, again, with all this rebalancing, and then the next day on Friday you have the new quarter. You know very well we have the monthly inflows, and then the pension funds go in the market and they have to start buying again. Most of the times exactly what they sold the prior day. So this back and forth action is not really conducive, so you have to be tactical, you have to know your levels, or you can just stay out of the way until the dust settles, see if we actually get a correction from this down move, or if it's just another great buying opportunity. All in all, we are more tactical. The only thing is that we have those long call options, but those are for the earnings, and we think that this is a good moment to put them on. Just to remind you, we have call options in Apple, Nvidia, Amazon, and Google, and some for Facebook as well. So these are just option plays. You can consider them lotos. In case they work, it's great for our portfolio. If not, we know exactly what we paid for them and the risk that we exposed our portfolio to. Otherwise, no long stocks for us except for Ford. Today we actually exited Uber as well. I'm gonna go over Uber now. Uber broke the 8-day. It's the first time it breaks the 8-day after the gap up. It's not looking great. The markets were not that weak today. It shouldn't have done this. We're going to revisit this name. If you are a long-term investor, I told you can keep it against 42. But given the weakness in the markets, in the overall markets, we decided to exit Uber, and we're going to revisit this trade. All in all, weak action for Uber on a rather neutral day in the markets. Now let's look at the IWMs. Poor performance for the IWMs. Made a new low compared to yesterday's low. The bounce was rejected at 223. So be very careful with the small caps. Lots of names today were sold. Remember, at the beginning of the week, we had a huge bounce in the clean energy stocks. Today they have been for sale. The only good stock out there in this category, if you want to put it in this category, is Tesla. I'm gonna go over Tesla now. Tesla still acts really, really well, and this looks more and more like a bull flag. But again, we have news at the end of this week, on Friday probably, or Saturday the latest. We're gonna know the delivery numbers, and in case chip shortages and all the bottlenecks in the world economy affect their deliveries, it's not because people don't want to buy their cars, it's because they're not producing them fast enough for everyone. Then we might have a negative reaction for Tesla. All in all, Tesla is looking really, really well, and it gives you lots of opportunities to day trade it as well. Today we played a bit with our options, and in the end we managed to profit from this. The longer we hold above 770, actually this 766.18, the higher the probability we're gonna go higher from, the bigger probability we're gonna go higher from here. But there's a catalyst at the end of this week, so you have to know what you're exposing yourself to. Now let's look at Apple as well. Apple has been a bit stronger than the other FANG type names. It managed to defend this 100-day. It did not make a new low. It posted the low at 142.03. It got rejected close to yesterday's high. So all in all, Apple tried to show some momentum. It was one of the strongest FANG type names out there, but again it got rejected close to its 8-day. All in all, if you want to take one FANG type stock overnight, maybe Apple is one candidate, because it had a huge drop all the way from 157 to 141, 142. So maybe Apple in here, this candle is not looking that bad. Now let's look at Microsoft. Microsoft gave us lots of nice day trades. As it shows some relative strength in the morning, we engaged it from red to green. Then we engaged it later in the afternoon. We actually played Microsoft 4 or 5 times during the day, and every time we were positive in our returns. So Microsoft managed to help us throughout the day, but this candle is not looking great from an overall perspective. It's still way below the 8, 21 and 50 day, just above the 100 day. So for tomorrow, look at this level, 286.77. If the bulls want to show any relative strength, they need to get above this as soon as possible. Otherwise, we're going to drift lower from here. We're going to hit the 100 day and maybe even lower. So watch out for 283.01. Pivot support, and then the next support is 282.75. AMD, poor performance again, made a new low, 99.81, just above last week's low, so nothing special for AMD. We just have some long dated options for earnings, but all in all, very poor performance. After this really nice 5 days up, it got rejected today at 102.66, so be very careful with AMD. All the semis are looking weak, and when the semis are weak, the overall market is weak. So this is why we put on a hedge. We bought some Q puts, as I mentioned before. Now let's look at Amazon. Managed to defend this 200-day, 32.90, made a higher low, 32.98, got rejected at 33.50, which was a big resistance level. All in all, not looking great, just above the 200-day. No real reason to be in Amazon unless you are a long-term investor or you want to put on some options for the earnings. But it's not broken, but definitely bent, and it needs a lot of reconstructing in here. Google is looking like one of the weakest FANG type names out there. It used to be one of the strongest. Look at this really nice active sequence all the way above, all this way above the 8 and 21 day, and then here it broke, and once it broke the 8 day, broke the 21 day, broke the 50 day. Today it made the new low. It tried to bounce, it tried to regain this 27.07, had no force, closed on the lows. So Google is looking very weak, and when Google is not leading the market, then definitely there is a lot of weakness in the overall market. Usually we have Facebook and Google the strongest, and then we have stocks such as Amazon, Microsoft and Apple trying to play catch up. But when Google is as weak as it is, you can expect more selling pressure in the market soon. The last stock I want to go over is Ford. Ford continues to act well, building a nice bull flag in here. It wasn't a day for cyclicals or value stocks, but all in all, we added a bit more Ford today that we sold yesterday. So we're still long Ford, which is the only stock that we are long. The rest we are long some options, and as I mentioned before, we have some Q puts expiring on Friday. Thank you so much for following us. Thank you so much for being our subscribers. Go to our website if you want to find out more about our company, about our startup. If you have any questions, please feel free to email us or ask them straight on our Instagram. We are here to help, and remember that at ECLUB Trading we grow together. Guys, stay tactical. Cash is also a position. Let's see how this quarter ends and get ready for the next one with earnings and so on. It's going to be a busy one. Thank you so much.